Thank you all for finding time and joining today's Core Design Talk. My name is Aylin Sunam. I'm working at New Media Department at KHas University, and I am teaching the first module of this Core Design course with Ali and Sarper Hoca, as you might know well. Now I will ask you one question to check if you can see and hear us well. If you hear me, just please make thumbs up. Let me see. So I think most of us can see and hear well. Great. Our topic today is social entrepreneurship for sustainable development, and our speaker is Serra Titiz. Thanks for joining us today. Before we start, let me explain how you can talk to us during the webinar. If you have any questions during the presentation, just write them to chat, okay? And after the session, we will have a Q&A session at the end of this talk, Serra Titiz's talk, and she will be answering to your questions. Now we can begin. Let me share my screen. I would like to introduce Serra Titiz briefly. Serra has been working on sustainable development since 2003. She worked with youth and with women and vocational groups at large NGOs at managerial levels. And she has participated to international programs on NGOs and civic activism. Her work has always been a reflection of social innovation. And today, Serra Titiz is the founder and managing director of a social enterprise, Mikado Sustainable Development Consulting in Turkey. Serra, I think I can stop at this point and I can let you share your screen.
I was thinking this is too long.
Yeah. And I think you're going to have a little part for introduction too. Thank you for joining us.
Sure. Thank you very much for the colleagues who invited me here today. First of all, I would like to see you guys. Please turn on your videos, your screens, because I really don't like, talking to a black screen. I think this is the bad part of the Zoom meetings. The good part is to be able to reach out to all of you so easily, but at the same time, I think it's more human, to be able to see you, the ones who are willing to do this. Thank you very much. So let me share my screen first. I have prepared a short presentation. Actually, I don't want to bore you, and I would like to have a interactive session with you. So I will be asking you some questions, sharing some of my insights about my journey as a social entrepreneur in Turkey. And I will also try to give you some ideas and some concepts about sustainability, sustainable development, and social impact and social entrepreneurship. And if you have any questions, as Eileen said, please write to the chat box and I will be able to see them, I think. And if they are related to what I'm explaining at that time, I will also be able to answer at the same time without waiting till the end. So my journey started by working at civil society organizations. So around 5 years, I worked at different NGOs with women, with young people, and with vocational organizations. And I figured out that there's a gap between the social needs and the existing resources. So I thought establishing an organization which will match the resources with the problems and which will craft models which will generate social impact and support sustainable development is a need. I mean, there was nothing like that at that time. So I thought establishing an organization, but I wanted to have an organization which is not for profit. So I thought of establishing an NGO, but because I was coming from the NGO world, I didn't want to be, I wanted to be fast. I didn't want to be slow. I didn't want to have a board, waiting for the board's approvals and everything. So that's why I decided to establish a company, but a company which is not for profit, which actually doesn't exist in Turkey. It still doesn't exist today. It's been 13 years that Mikado is an active organization. And the main aims of the organization is to craft models for sustainable development. And it focuses on three main stakeholders. One is the private sector, to get private sector become more responsible and to help them design their sustainability strategies and their social impact strategies and develop projects for them and provide trainings and help them develop this understanding in their companies. The second stakeholder is the civil society, the NGOs, and get NGOs become more transparent and more sustainable to help them build their capacities and help them measure their impact. And the third sector is the social innovation sector, where we are working with social entrepreneurs and we are helping the social entrepreneurs ecosystem develop in Turkey. So when I first established the company, everyone told me that you shouldn't be dealing with all these three fields. It's too complicated to understand. You won't be able to explain yourself, and it is so difficult. But I actually believe that all these stakeholders are needed to attain, to reach to sustainable development, and we should be able to touch all of these stakeholders. And today, I'm expressing the same way the company as I did 13 years ago. And actually, I was proven to be right because these different stakeholders are actually also working together in different programs and projects. I also established that I forgot to, I was intending to put one more slide. I now realize that I forgot to put it. Mikado is a B Corp. You can see the logo on top on the left hand side. It's a B Corp. It's a member of the B Corp community, Benefit Corporation. bcorporation.net is the website if you're interested. It's a movement that started in the US more than 10 years ago and is actually encouraging and providing certificates to companies who are creating social impact, to companies who have a meaningful purpose and who are acting that way. So I think it's been like 6-7 years that we have become the first B Corp in Turkey and Europe, and now this movement is growing in Turkey too. And I became an Ashoka Fellow in 2013. I'm also an Eisenhower Fellow. So I've been working on this field, and I've been trying to improve the concepts and the ideas, and also trying to inspire organizations to generate impactful programs and projects. While I was establishing Mikado, I also had the idea to develop an online experience sharing platform for young people, especially to guide them, to empower them, and to get them decide and make better decisions about their futures, their careers, and their educations. The counseling system, rehberlik system in Turkey is really lagging behind, and young people are really suffering from this, especially in the remote areas in Turkey. Young people are really, needing these kind of help and guidance. So I created a vocational orientation platform called Future is Brighter in English, Gelecek Daha Net in Turkish. And this also started 11 years ago. And the main focus is it's being online. And the flagship tool from day one and still today also is the e-mentoring module we designed. So we are matching young people, university and high school and university students with company professionals. So we have more than 2,000 volunteers from companies today who are meeting with young people. And we started with e-mentoring. So we included many other modules to empower young people to strengthen their CVs, like online trainings, career consulting. We started doing boot camps, for personal development and 21st century skills. And we also started doing boot camps on social entrepreneurship. And Gelecek Daha Net, Future is Brighter has really developed and scaled itself and started to do corporate volunteership projects with big companies like Unilever, like Zorlu Holding. So their employees started to meet young people. So this had really a great impact on all beneficiaries. And we are also asking young people how much they're benefiting from the tools we are providing. 3 years ago, Gelecek Daha Net has started to work with Syrian youngsters. So, the model we have developed at Gelecek Daha Net, this mentoring tool, has created a good impact on Turkish youngsters. So we thought, why not including Syrian youngsters who are studying in Turkey, who are aiming to stay in Turkey, and who could be actually really, good employees in companies. So these are like talented young people. So we started to do a reverse mentorship program. So that Syrian youngsters are actually mentoring company leaders. So this was really radical to start this kind of a program, and we received some prizes from different organizations. And right now, the great thing is that Unilever was sponsoring for the last 3 years, but for the last 2 months, a very good thing happened is that EBRD and the German Development Fund, GIZ, has sponsored us, so that Embark now is becoming a new social enterprise and is growing. I just wanted to show you actually 3 different social impactful programs, which are all actually social enterprises at the same time.
Serra,
this was about myself.
Can I ask a question? How many people are involved in Gelecek Daha Net project now?
As youngsters, you mean, who are benefiting?
Yes, as youngsters, yes.
Around 30,000.
30,000 now. Wow.
Not so much. It has to be millions, actually. We don't have that big budget, so we cannot communicate enough. But Mikado team, Gelecek Daha Net team, and Embark team all work together, and we are around 10 people right now. Okay, so this was about myself. Now I will start to share some content about sustainability with you, and I will first be asking you, how do you see the world today? Do you think everything is well, except of the pandemic, of course? Sustainability-wise, I would like to first ask the crowd, and I will ask you to please write to the chat box about sustainability. What do you think sustainability is? What comes to your mind when you receive this question? What is sustainability? Can you please write from the chat box? I will be waiting and I will be seeing your answers.
Sustainability'yi de Türkçe sürdürülebilirlik olarak söylüyoruz.
Sürdürülebilirlik, evet. So, I'm waiting. It can live for a long time. Yes. Good. What else? Any other comment? Nothing at all. To meet our needs without exhausting. Yes. Wait. New ones are coming. Without exhausting for future needs. True. It scales well is usually what this means in today's world. Scales well. Yes. Good. Any other comment? Okay. Another question. Sorry, I'm receiving calls at the same time. Do you think we can sustain the world today? Probably you will say no, or we have problems. So this term, sustainability, came into our lives because we cannot sustain anymore. And we have to be able to act, each different stakeholder has to act to be able to sustain the world, because really the world is in alarm right now. And everyone has a role in the healing or improving the conditions of today's world. So there's a definition of sustainable development. Sustainable development also is something that I'm sure you've been hearing for the last year. I mean, as you know, development is a positive thing, like, growing, progress. Sustainable development, a development that is sustainable. What does this mean? It's the programming of the life and development of today and the future in a way that allows the needs of future generations to be met and developed without consuming natural resources, by establishing a balance between human and nature. A long sentence, but it summarizes well, actually. Can we say that living today without consuming from tomorrow's resources, or without kind of consuming next generation's needs and expectations. So I'm sure you're hearing many things about sustainability, carbon disclosure, climate crisis. So so for the last years, these issues are much more everywhere. In the programs, in the magazines you're reading, or in the media. So what drove the sustainability agenda into the conditions today? There's a problem with the presentation. Sorry. So what is happening? What's wrong? That the system today is in alarm. Is telling us that all of us have to do something to better the situation. Uh, so many things. I mean, I will just highlight some of them. One is especially the population of the world is increasing. I mean, 7.5 billion today. It's going to be 9 billion in 2050, and not just the number, but also the duration of people living in the world has increased. So people live longer. So people living longer means that there's um, baskı diyeceğim in English. There's a pressure. There's a pressure on the world's natural resources. So we have to sustain these people. We have to feed these people, and the Earth's resources are limited. Another very big issue is the earning and the wealth uh, distribution. Do you know that 8 billion US dollar? Sorry, 8 people. Uh, Sorry, when changing to English, I'm a bit confused. Uh, 8 people who are US dollar billionaires have a wealth is the same, that is equal to 3.6 billion people in the world. So 8 person, 8 individuals, and 3.6 billion people's wealth are the same. So I mean, this is terrible, really. When you see these kind of figures, these kind of pictures and infographics, or new concepts, you then realize, the uh, the situation, how bad the situation is. And also, I mean, gender equality is still an issue all over the world, not just in Turkey, in many parts of the world, still dealing with these problems. Fossil fuels, it's an issue, and natural resources are limited, and still big companies are investing. Big companies and states, governments are investing in fossil fuel uh, energy resources. Another issue is water. You know that the water resources are limited, especially clean water is a very big issue. And they say that in less than 10 years' time, water wars will start in the world. So we will be dealing in very interesting issues in the upcoming future. Urbanization is an issue. They say that in 2050, 7 out of 10 people will be living in cities. That's why we are talking about smart cities today, because we have to feed and sustain these people who are coming to the cities, and people leaving, their villages. Another issue is, you know, what we eat, and and where do they come from? So all of these issues are in our lives today. And another one, the big one, maybe electronic waste. So maybe 10 years ago, we weren't aware of these, but today, with this consumer society, we are consuming so much, and we are consuming the things that we actually don't need, maybe, has brought us to this situation today in the world. There's a new concept. I don't know if you've heard of it, Earth Overshoot Day. So this website, footprintnetwork.org, is a very good resource if you are interested in these kind of issues, and you can also find information about Turkey's situation. So here, this concept is for 3-4 years now. We know about this. It shows us when this year's resources are finished. It's like using a credit card. You start using from your card. You use the money you don't have. you are borrowing money that you will pay later. It's something like that. Normally, last year it was July 29. The year before it was July 30, and before it was August 1, 2. So this year, thanks to the pandemic, let me say, the only good thing maybe the pandemic has brought in our life is that the carbon footprint is less, will be less by the end of this year. Is that this year's Earth overshoot day is August 22. So, for 3 weeks time, we have gains from the environment, but we will see what happens, because we know that waste is also a big issue because of the pandemic. So, I mean, these kind of concepts are out there just to take attention, just to show people that, we are not in a good situation. And in this figure, you also see that there's one Earth that we are living on, but if we continue to consume like this, we will need 1.6 Earths, which we don't have actually. So sustainability is actually, the sustainability of the world is in danger. So, how come sustainability and responsible management and, people's attention is, so much here on sustainability? And so many things are happening at the same time. And first of all, sustainable development summits are happening every year in one country. And very big companies like Toyota, Vodafone, these companies' leaders, and also very big NGOs leaders like WWF or Amnesty International are coming together and discussing about the world situation. And after those meetings, some regulations come to our countries. I'm sure, at least I'm sure my colleagues know. I'm sure university also is dealing with similar issues. Like companies right now, they have to report on their carbon levels, or they have to manage their waste. Otherwise, they have to pay some penalties, if they don't comply with the rules. So new rules and regulations are in companies' agenda today. So we are in the age of communication, which is very great, so that we can learn about the irresponsible behavior much easier and quicker in today's world. So if a company is doing something really bad, which is hurting a local community or the carbon footprint of the world, NGOs like WWF or Greenpeace are there, ready, waiting for these kind of things, to develop their campaigns and to attract people's attentions, and even, seize these companies' investments. And this happened in Turkey with maybe if you remember, with the natural energy investments, the HES investments in the Black Sea region. So some of those companies have to withdraw, their investments. So civil society is much more active. We as people, as individuals, we can be more active. We can support campaigns. We can be part of petitions. We can give our signatures, and we can get our voice heard through communication channels, which is great. And this is how the sustainability agenda is much more on our table today. And also, consumers are more aware. They're questioning what's happening behind the brands, like especially for textiles and food sector. People are asking, who did this? Who, in which conditions people did produce these clothes that we are wearing, or what kind of ingredients are inside these foods that we are eating. So talking about the textiles, I've watched a movie called True Cost. The True Cost. I don't know if any of you have seen it. I suggest you should, guys. I saw this movie and I stopped buying from Mango, Zara, Gap, Forever 21. What else? Maybe some more of those. H&M, of course, the first one. And when I saw this movie, it's a documentary. It's very interesting because it shows you the real instance in those factories. None of these companies own a factory. They produce somewhere else, some other people's factories, some in other third world countries. So that all these people who are working, who are in the production lines, they're dying actually. I mean, and I saw babies under the seats of the women while they're working, and it's in such bad conditions. And actually, I don't want to wear this kind of stuff that's where people are dying. You know, when you see these kind of things, you have the choice of buying or not buying. So you have the choice to make a decision about what kind of a life you want to live. And it's great that we are in the digital age and we can hear and learn more. And how companies are greenwashing. I don't know if you've heard of this term, greenwash.
Maybe you
gibi
should explain, Serra.
Turkish, but I don't know how to explain it in English. I'm doing something, showing something that you're actually not doing. So, for example, H&M has an organic line, has a conscious line, if they call it. That H&M is, investing a lot for their sustainability strategy, and I don't believe in it, because I've seen how these factories are. So, if you are eager to learn, if you are willing to be a part of change, you really have to follow what's happening, and it's not so difficult. You can just follow some of interesting, website or Instagram accounts, and you can be aware of what's happening. Another very nice and I think attractive campaign was again done by Greenpeace for the company who is producing the Barbie babies. The company is called Mattel, and Mattel is working with a producer who is actually harming the environment and forests. So when this procurer is doing something like this, Mattel company is also under attack because Mattel is working with this company. So your company is being responsible is not enough. You should also change the management style of your procurers, of your supply chain. And Greenpeace has started a campaign saying that Ken has broke up with Barbie, is not dating Barbie anymore because Barbie is irresponsible. So these kind of campaigns are, I think, very important. Another one was done for Volkswagen cars, again by Greenpeace. And that time, Star Wars was the tool they used. And they said that let's move Volkswagen from the dark side to the good side. Stuff like that. So this is how we are more aware of what's happening. So a good thing is that in 2015, the Sustainable Development Goals were published and actually disseminated throughout the world. And it's a very good framework that shows you what issues you have to deal with, but not just for companies, for states, for universities, for high schools, for people, for municipalities, for NGOs. This is something like an umbrella that all of us is actually is responsible from. So these 17 targets are the targets that the world and all different stakeholders have to work together, to change for the better. So all of these targets, these are just the titles of these targets. And when you go inside the website, you see that there are around almost 200 sub targets that each different organization can actually see themselves how they can contribute. So today we are thinking of when doing something, a project maybe, or where you are working in a company, you start questioning yourself. Which one of these 17 targets am I contributing to? What kind of impact I can make to which of these? Which of these is in my interest and is in my working area? If you have any questions, by the way, I can see them from chat box. So this was an interesting thing. If any one of you is interested in these issues, there's an organization similar to Mikado, Business in the Community, based in UK. They have published this. They have made the reflection of the pandemic over these 17 sustainable development goals. So they say that, for example, gender equality, the fifth target, has gone much worse because people are more at home. When you're more at home, you might have more conflicts. Or some good things is like the carbon footprint, but some bad things is like the waste is happening. So the pandemic's effect on these 17 goals. If you're interested, you can check it later on.
Sarah, the green ones are the good ones and red ones are the bad ones, I guess, no?
No.
No, okay.
Colors don't say anything. Okay, so I mean, I just wanted to bring an introduction by talking a little bit about sustainability and the world situation and what's happening. By the way, very good things are happening too. Very good movements and organizations are following, and I are trying to do initiate very good programs to better the conditions of the world. And one is also the social entrepreneurship area. So from sustainability, I want to move on with the social entrepreneurs. I don't know if any one of you have heard of social entrepreneurship or social entrepreneur. I can even ask who a social entrepreneur is. Can someone say? There's
If
social
there's
and entrepreneur.
anyone who knows this term, can
Okay.
you make thumbs up?
I mean, I won't be happy with that. It won't be enough for me.
Okay.
I need a short explanation. I mean, social and entrepreneur in the same sentence. What can it be? I can ask my colleagues too, by the way.
John and Hala says, I don't know, I'm not sure.
Yeah, by the way, you can use your mics maybe. It's just better to hear the voices.
Maybe someone who wants to change the way our world works, Tuba. Yes, good. I liked it. They start companies for this cause. Yes, they do start companies. Okay, so in general, I can see that the knowledge level is not high, which is normal and expected, or in general, because the knowledge in the world actually is also very little. But there's big promotion for social entrepreneurship all over the world right now. So a social entrepreneur are individuals. These people are individuals who bring innovative solutions to the leading substantial problems of the society. So as you saw, the problems that we were hearing 30, 50 years ago are still there. Gender equality is there, poverty is there, water problems is there, everything is there. Nothing has changed. So we need, and the system is not working, and we cannot sustain the world anymore. So there is need for innovative ways. There's need for people who devote themselves to solve these problems. Social enterprises are organizations that determine social and environmental impact as their primary objective, acquire more than half of their income through commercial activities, and spend their profits primarily for social purposes. Okay, this is too much detail, but people who devote themselves to solve some of those problems. And these people are entrepreneurs too, because most of them are established companies. Some of them develop products, some of them develop services. But the big difference with a normal entrepreneur is that their main motivation is not to make profit. Of course, they have to make profit, by the way. They have to make profit, but they're thinking of optimizing the profit, not maximizing the profit. So they should be profiting, but their main concern is to generate social impact. So these are those people. And I'm sure you don't know, I didn't know either a few years ago, is that today some of the biggest new economies developed, they have social entrepreneurs in the background, behind the scenes. Like, for example, Uber. Uber, was in Turkey, and it was throughout the world, it was a great initiative to get people, share cars, and also people themselves drive. And this has started with Share It organization established by a social entrepreneur. Airbnb, for example. I'm sure some of you have tried it before. And, if you go somewhere and if hotels are too expensive, you always prefer to stay in a house, And this has started with a social entrepreneur with the couch surfing idea. So, and it has grown and developed. It has become a very big economy today. I'm sure all of you have heard of Wikipedia and open source. Open source has started with Wikipedia, whose founder is a social entrepreneur. So, there are many, many others, and there are many organizations supporting social entrepreneurs today. Certified kind of being fellow of somewhere around, there are around like 4,000 people in the world. And in Turkey too, there are very impactful, prominent social entrepreneurs. I will give some examples. And I also want to share some examples that I really like. And then I will ask you some questions. Please listen carefully to these, especially these 3-4 slides. So this is one of the social enterprises I really admire and get inspired from. It's called Hero Rats. So you see the rats here. So can somebody tell me what this rat is doing? Without reading, please, of course, without copying. Can you tell me why we see a rat on the floor? Why are they training rats? What for? Anyone?
Maybe they are backing the blind
I think
people.
I read somewhere that rats are trained to detect minds or
Exactly, bravo. Exactly. So these guys, the founders are engineers working. They are in Belgium, the 2 partners. They are working with rats in laboratories. So they come up with the idea of using and training and using rats to find the mines in minefields, to spot the mines. And the great thing is that these rats are very tiny and they're light. So nothing bad happens to the rats. You can be sure of that. And when you can trace these mines, this means that you can clean these minefields and save hundreds and thousands of lives, especially in Africa. And when they started this initiative, the pilot was so successful that they scaled it to other countries. And it's an amazing. One idea, can change, can bring a big change and can change the system. So then they come up with another idea. This time they use rats to detect a tuberculosis illness. And this is how hundreds of people, again, are saved, thanks to early detection. And, this time, they're using it for health reasons. Another one that I like very much, discovering hands. So here you see a doctor in Germany. And by the way, he wants to come to Turkey and do this in Turkey. It will be great, I think. And he's employing disabled, but with eye flow, people who cannot see. He's employing these people because these people's level of sense, touching and sensing is much higher than a regular person. So he's training and using these people for early detection of breast cancer. And their detection is so much more impactful than the scientific one. Very interesting. And this is how, again, he's saving hundreds of lives. Another one, probably you've heard of it, Muhammad Yunus. He's also a Nobel Peace Prize winner. So he has started the microcredit system. How did he do this? First of all, he's an economics teacher in Bangladesh, and he's teaching economy to his students. So one day he says that there's big poverty in my country. Guys, let's go to the field together. So with his students, he goes to very poor villages, and he sees people's. Sorry? Hello?
Duyabiliyoruz Serra.
Ama görüntüm gitti değil mi?
Evet, görüntün gitti. Duymaya devam
Tamam.
edebiliyoruz ama.
Tamam, şimdi bunu kapatacağım. Pilim bitti çünkü. Bilgisayara geçiyorum.
Tamam.
Ekranı görüyoruz ama evet.
Ben görmüyorum ama. Ben de karanlık oldu. Bunu da kapatamıyorum işin kötüsü.
Winning 2006 Nobel Peace şeyi var şu an.
Muhammed Yunus örneğindeyiz.
Donmuş da olabilir belki Aydın.
Evet, sesim geliyor mu?
Geliyor. Biraz daha geriden geliyor ama geliyor.
Okay. Sorry about this. So he with his students, he goes to the villages, he visits people, and he listens to people, and he sees that very small contributions, like 10 cents, not even $1, can make a change. he can buy something to produce, for example, he or she. So by himself, from his pocket, he starts supporting people. He starts providing money, but he wants the money back. So it's a kind of a borrowing without any interest, but which has to be paid back weekly and with weekly installments. So it became an amazing way of supporting people and getting people out of poverty. And many banks in the world today has a microcredit line. So one idea can bring a very, very big change. So then he doesn't stop, of course. He scales this program to an insurance for poor people, micro insurance. He starts providing insurance products to people who are in the remote areas and who lack these kind of facilities. Another person who, by the way, all of these people are Ashoka Fellows. Another Ashoka Fellow is Kalyash Satyarthi. He also became the 2014 Nobel Prize winner. He works with children. He aims to, get the manufacturing and production sector, especially in the woven sector, out of child labor. And he starts different initiatives, movements, and a new label which is called Good Weave. And thanks to this Good Weave, companies who don't employ children can be certified. So this is a new system that he brought in the business sector. So now I have a problem with my laptop. Sorry, I will share my screen again. Okay. So some examples from Turkey. Maybe you've heard of them. Did you hear about Mesut E-Bursu? Anyone? Yes, Ulaş has heard. Ulaş, can you tell me what does Mesut do? Aleyna da duymuş. Who can tell me?
Talk, guys.
Scholarships online. Great, exactly. So Mesut himself, by the way, he's probably 25 years old or something today. He started this 3-4 years ago. So himself, he experiences challenges finding scholarship. And, he prepares different documents for each different scholarship provider. He cannot get enough money. He needs to study. At the same time, he's a computer engineer. He's a software writer. And he comes up with this idea to actually democratize the scholarship sector, to get all scholarship providers into one platform, and to get young people they develop their documents for once and to be able to apply to different organizations. And he started to provide, of course, many other things afterwards, like mentorship and other supports, and even credit with Akbank. He has started a new program now to provide credits for young people. So it's a great tool. He's being an engineer, he's being a software designer is also a great added value, I think, because the platform also is very user-friendly. Another social entrepreneur from Turkey is Turin. Has anyone heard about Turin? Okay, Turin, her story is also really nice. Maybe you can listen to her speeches if you search in the YouTube. So Turin is an agriculture, ziraat mühendisi, agriculture engineer. And she thinks that at the very beginning, by the way, she fails many times. She thinks that farmers should be learning and should be learning about new technologies and some new tools for better production. So first she makes a cooperation with a big computer company to produce computers, especially for these farmers. But then none of these farmers use these computers, and she fails very big. And then she thinks maybe she can do this with some telecommunication companies, and she convinces Vodafone. And she always tells in her stories, when she explains it, she says that at the 40th or 42nd meeting or something like that, that Vodafone said yes. So Vodafone at the end just says yes. Vodafone starts the Farmers Club. Vodafone reaches out to new customers. Actually, it's very good for Vodafone too. And thanks to Turin, 3 million farmers today are connected through their cell phones, and they receive feedback about the temperature or new methodologies they can use for better production. She then starts a new program called a Smart Village in Aydın Kasaplar Village. She moves to Aydın Kasaplar Village with her family, and she builds a really great village with technology, showing that technology can make a change in better production. And right now she lives there. So I want to ask you guys about, I shared some examples. What were common in these examples? What were common in those social entrepreneurs? What did you hear? What was interesting, and what was common in these people? Can you write like just words or thoughts? Technology, okay, not everyone. They were all trying to help others, yes. Care for the disadvantaged, yes. Community benefit. What else? Any other? Accessible service. They had a new idea, yes. They had a new idea, and if you saw, each of them didn't stop with the one idea. They continued. They established another one and another one. That other one directed them to, start a new initiative. So it doesn't end. Like they are like serial entrepreneurs. Really, most social entrepreneurs, because they devote themselves to this, they try to come up with new ideas. I have these slides, but I mean, I'm not sure if it's relevant. I mean, they have a new idea. They're creative. They're entrepreneurial. They aim for social impact, and they have, this is very important, all of them have an ethical texture, an ethical fiber, we say. They have principles, and their teams are, by the way, teams are very important. You cannot do anything by yourself. You have to have a team that really believes in the cause, and who have a similar ethical standing as you. And also, you already said these things. So, they have a dedication and motivation and maybe passion to make a change, to be part of change, and, to do something for the future of the world. So if you're interested in social entrepreneurship, I would recommend you to follow this website, sosyalgirişimciliği.org. Maybe, Aylin, you can write, sosyalgirişimcilikagi.org. Here, everything about social entrepreneurship is shared, trainings, many free trainings, blog posts, and also social entrepreneurs initiatives are presented. So, this came out of a project we had as a consortium. We received funding from EU, and it really is a great meeting point for social entrepreneurs and the ones who are interested in the field. So this was my presentation. I hope you liked it, you benefited from it. If you have questions, I can answer.
Thank you a lot, Serra. I think we will have 10 minutes for question and answers.
Anyone interested?
Yes, you can write down your questions or just like open your mics and
No questions.
Okay, guys, why don't you ask for a nice topic, open and future with a high future impact about social entrepreneurship. Why don't you ask something like this? You are going to work for 5 weeks about problem solving, design thinking, and social entrepreneurship is actually one of the topics, one of the branches in which we have in mind.
Okay, so maybe they're very satisfied. They don't have any questions. Or
okay, I'm asking.
They're very bored. They don't
Sorry
want to get.
for. So, what
bored.
would you? Okay, our audience is mainly made up of first-year students, and in our design course, I don't know how much you know about our new core curriculum, but all the students in the university are taking the same courses, which is mainly. It's not exactly a liberal arts education, but we have courses in global issues, in design, in computational thinking. It's very untraditional and it is very revolutionary, actually. And in the first part of the course, our students will have 4 modules, and in the second part, they will work on a real life, preferably real life problem. And social entrepreneurship problems or ideas are also in our spectrum. Would you suggest any few topics for them? That can be quite helpful. Thanks.
I skipped the question. I mean, the last part.
I mean, can you suggest some interesting or maybe promising ideas which you think is mainly not much focused, but it has a great opportunity to the students that they can work on? Just on the, not maybe they are not going to make an enterprise now, but you have to start somewhere.
I mean, I would suggest them to follow the sustainable development agenda in the world today because it's growing, it's evolving. Very new concepts are, are being developed every day, and I would suggest them to listen to Açık Radio in the mornings, and also maybe from Instagram. I mean, they can follow some issues they are interested. I mean, they should be first thinking of what they have an interest for among all these social and environmental problems. Which of them is kind of an interest for them, and then I would always suggest to work as a volunteer in a civil society organization. I mean, support the cause. When you support the cause and you work physically for an organization, you actually learn a lot. You learn about the problem. You learn about how to work for the society. You develop some personal skills of yours, like organization abilities, like communication skills. I mean, you develop yourself a lot. By the way, it's also very good for your future, work recruitment speeches because they started to ask about, did you do any voluntary work or have you worked in the civil society as a volunteer? So, I mean, working in the civil society, I think brings a lot to your vision, to it enlarges your vision and also brings, I mean, you develop yourself as a person. I mean, of course, I mean, there are so many problems that you can work in, but remaining and lasting things is like, I think unemployment is a very big issue. Youth unemployment is a very big issue. Health is a very big issue in the world and in today's world, I think. The first thing they should do is to think and see what inclination they have, which social problem would be in their interest, and then see who is doing what in this field, and maybe to follow some people, some organizations through social media, and also maybe to be part of some projects real time. I mean, not just to follow from outside, but really be part of a project is, I'm sure, will be very much rewarding for young people. By the way, I can also suggest it's coming next week, Sustainable Living Film Festival, Sürdürülebilir Yaşam Film Festivali. Every year it's I think it's the 13th year or 12th year or something. They're publishing great documentaries and movies from abroad and from Turkey about all these issues, free of charge. You can watch them in cinemas, but I think right now, because of the restrictions, the cinema dimension probably doesn't exist, but they will be broadcasting the movies online beginning of December. I mean, you can just watch some movies. It really helps them. You learn and you get inspired when you hear real time stories of these kind of people. You get inspired and you might maybe think that I can do something too.
In our course, we have a talk about how to prepare social good campaigns, and we said the first step is to decide your objective. And I think what you brought is an important discussion for seeing these objectives. This 17 Sustainable Development Goals developed by UNDP can open the minds of the students, and if they watch this film the films in the festival and follow the sites, I think they can have quite a lot of ideas about their objectives in the first place.
Definitely.
And then what do you suggest after defining the objective? What is the next step they should take?
The next step should be, I'm putting some objectives for themselves, like short-term objectives, maybe to go and work somewhere to support a campaign, to follow some thought leaders in these issues, to learn more about the issue, to read more. I mean, there's so much to learn, and it's so much evolving and so many new work and work positions will be available in the upcoming years. Related to environment, to social issues. I mean, I don't know. Of course, it depends on the person's standpoint. But if you want to have a meaningful life, if you want to have an impactful and meaningful life, I really believe that you should be part of something. You should be supporting a cause, something, whatever. Maybe first by following, but then by being a part of it, and then maybe even starting to work there, or maybe then establishing your own thing.
We have 2 more minutes. Does anyone have any questions?
I think we can also, for the final part, of this course, maybe we can also invite. I think we are planning to invite all of our guest speakers to our end of year exhibition / presentations. Maybe they can get some input at the very end. Talking about students' own projects. Maybe that would be a nice idea if we can arrange a time with Serra.
Sure.
And then we can really talk about talk through the work and what they have developed. I think, but today was a great contribution in terms of the trends and the processes involved around the world today. Also, someone from hearing from someone who is actually working in the profession and working in the center of this sort of issues. So I wish to thank you for the class and for myself and for the whole core team. And I also thank you for the introduction, and it was a pleasure meeting with Serra.
Thank you, guys, for listening. A good suggestion. I'd be happy to help and meet the guys who have projects which are related to these kind of issues.
Oh, that would be perfect. Yeah.
Çok teşekkürler tekrar Serra geldiğin için, katıldığın
Rica ederim. Ben teşekkür ederim davetiniz için.
Çok güzel bir giriş oldu bence konuya.
Süper. Tekrar görüşmek üzere o zaman.
Okay, now is the end of the session. Thank you for joining. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Hoşçakalın.
Görüşürüz.